So, dear Prime Minister, dear Justin, a very warm welcome to the Parlement, to the European Commission. It's a pleasure to have you here. And I must really say that since the beginning of Putin's atrocious and cruel war, we see that the transatlantic community has been standing very strong, very united, and very determined. And I think this is a great asset in our efforts to support our Ukrainian friends as much as we can. But it also revealed a spectacular failure of Putin's plan to divide us. This unity is so strong thanks to our unbreakable bonds, grounded in our history, our shared values, and of course our steadfast commitment to a rules-based global order. So the European Union and Canada will continue to deepen their cooperation and work in support of the brave people of Ukraine. I want to emphasize 3 points. The first is that we are stepping up our humanitarian support inside and outside Ukraine. In particular, I'm very glad that I heard that you're looking into, and I'm inviting you to channel in-kind support, if possible, to Ukraine via the EU Civil Protection Mechanism hubs. They are in Poland, in Romania, and in Slovakia. And of course, we will also continue to support those who have been forced to flee Ukraine through our complementary resettlement efforts, if they wish so, and our assistance to neighboring countries. My second point is sanctions. We now had 4 waves of unprecedented sanctions that we have taken together. And these sanctions have taken a heavy toll on Russia's economy and its ability to wage war. Now, together with our G7 partners, we will make sure to keep the pressure high on the Kremlin with strict enforcement and by tackling evasion and circumvention. And for that, we are establishing a dedicated G7 working group to share information among us, to coordinate responses, and to make sure that there is no sanctions evasion. We also know that the brutal military violence of Putin's war is flanked by attacks of a hybrid nature, in particular in cyberspace. So therefore, to counter this, the European Union and Canada will step up cooperation on cybersecurity, and we will support the governments of Ukraine and Moldova on cyber defense and internet access. My third topic is energy. Russia is not only threatening our security architecture in the military sense, but it is clear that our dependency of the European Union on Russian fossil fuels also puts Europe's energy security in danger. We have to get rid of our dependency of Russian fossil fuels. And as a response, the European Union and Canada will take our strategic energy cooperation to the next level. Commissioner Simpson and Minister Wilkinson will meet already this week to further discuss potential Canadian energy supply to Europe, and then the work will be followed up in a dedicated working group. This cooperation with Canada will be part of our Repower EU plan. As you know, first aim is to massively invest in renewables because this is a strategic investment in our energy independence and security. But secondly, to diversify away from Russian gas towards other suppliers that are trustworthy and reliable, like, for example, Canada. And the good part is that Canada shares on top the dedication to fight climate change and to decarbonize our economy. So we both know that the transition to clean energy is the key to phase out our dependency on fossil fuels more generally. We are both committed to speeding up the transition to net zero, and in this context, we will also pursue our partnership on raw materials, which is instrumental to achieving the transition to climate-neutral economies. Let me finish with one of the most urgent issues, and this is food security. We all know how important Ukraine and Russia are for the global food trade. Many countries in the European neighbourhood and across the globe depend to a large extent on their exports from Ukraine, in particular of wheat. The World Food Programme, I think 50% of the wheat of the World Food Programme is coming from Ukraine. Therefore, the Russian aggression to block Ukrainian exports through the Black Sea is seriously endangering global food security, and this is completely immoral. The European Union and Canada will work together to ensure the provision of direct food aid and to ramp up the supply of agricultural products more generally. So, dear Justin, we have a lot in common. We're friends and partners. We share the same values and the same goals, and through this work, the bond between us will be even stronger. Alors voilà, cher Justin, un agenda bien chargé pour notre discussion et pour notre coopération à venir. Les temps historiques que nous vivons l'exigent. Et c'est aussi l'occasion de réaffirmer la force de notre amitié et des liens qui nous unissent. Sois le bienvenu ici au Parlement.
Merci Ursula. Quel plaisir de te retrouver ici ce soir. Effectivement, on a beaucoup d'enjeux dont il va falloir qu'on discute, mais d'abord, je veux te dire un grand merci pour tout ton leadership. From the beginning of this challenge, and quite frankly, through the beginning of our times working together, Ursula has been an extraordinary partner, an extraordinary leader, and particularly when it came to bringing the European Union to a place where sanctions could be applied swiftly and with extraordinary strength. It was really your leadership that made this happen, and I got to see it up close as we were discussing in many, many small groups how we would have to remove if Russia did the unthinkable. And now that it has, the strength of your leadership and the commitment across the Atlantic to holding Vladimir Putin to account and making sure that he fails in this illegal, horrific war on innocence and on a democratic nation is extraordinarily important. This invasion, of course, is unacceptable. When I spoke with President Zelensky yesterday, we discussed increasing civilian casualties and repeated his call and my call to halt Russian attacks, withdraw forces, and stop committing war crimes. We vowed that Canada will continue to back Ukraine wholeheartedly, but as Ursula and the European Union has demonstrated, it is not something that any one of us has to do alone. We are doing it together and united in a way that is demonstrating not just that we stand for our friends and for a fellow democracy like Ukraine, but we also stand up for the values and the pillars that underpin all of our own democracies. This is an opportunity and a responsibility for all of us to continue to stand up for those fundamental rights and freedoms and stability and international rules that have underpinned the success of so many people, not just in Europe and across the Atlantic, but around the world over the past many decades. Putin's war has created a refugee crisis, and today with President von der Leyen, we'll be talking about humanitarian support and, of course, what more we'll be doing to help. Canada, of course, will be there to welcome people fleeing war and tragedy, as we always are. But at the same time, we're going to be stepping up to provide help and work together to respond to the global food security crisis that is a real, meaningful consequence, direct consequence of Vladimir Putin's illegal war. We also will continue to urge Russia to allow for humanitarian corridors and safe passage for civilians and for those determined to help civilians. On va aussi parler des sanctions sans précédent imposées sur Poutine et les Russes. Il faut qu'ils comprennent d'abord Poutine, mais aussi tous ceux qui l'entourent, à quel point il ne peut pas, il ne va pas profiter de cette guerre mal pensée. Au contraire, ça va être dévastateur pour l'économie russe et pour tous ceux qui ont appuyé Poutine. Of course, even as we're dealing with the terrible situation in Ukraine and the need to continue to stand up to defend our democracies, our rules-based order, we have lots of other things to talk about as well. And Ursula mentioned the importance of the green transition and energy cooperation. Canada is determined to continue to lead the way on moving towards net zero and decarbonizing as much as possible, at the same time as we recognize a need for people to replace Russian oil and gas in the short term. We will, of course, look at ways that Canada can help, but the real solution is to ensure that not only do we become less reliant on Russian oil and gas, we could become increasingly less reliant on oil and gas altogether as a world, and Canada will be there as a partner on that. We're also obviously going to continue our work on strengthening democracy and countering misinformation. Le travail pour rendre le monde plus sécuritaire doit aussi impliquer de partager les faits et la vérité avec les citoyens partout dans le monde. Les Russes sont maintenant en train d'être bouleversés par un niveau de propagande et de désinformation de Vladimir Poutine qui essaye de justifier cette guerre injustifiable. Alors nous allons continuer de travailler pour assurer que la vérité se sache partout dans le monde, mais aussi chez nous. On a du travail à faire tout en défendant toujours la liberté d'expression. Nous devons aussi assurer de contrer la désinformation toxique qui est en train d'affaiblir nos démocraties en même temps. State actors need to be held accountable for their actions in cyberspace, and Canada and EU will continue to make good progress on this. There's so many things we have to talk about. I'm looking forward to sitting down once again with President von der Leyen. We have lots to do, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation as always. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good to have you here.
Merci tout le monde.